What is the secret of writing a villain that's not just evil? Make them human. Each villain has their story. It didn't just start out them just being bad. They had to have a reason to become bad. I'm not saying get this over the out of the ordinary backstory to find out why they were bad. But make the villain relatable, that we're not necessarily rooting for them, but we're like, okay, I see their motives, I see their tactics, I see their strategies, but I'm clearly not on your side. The villain deserves to have human qualities. What makes them stand out from all the other characters? What makes them go against the protagonist? What is it that makes the villain so unbearable to latch onto throughout the story that we must venture towards when we're reading or writing the book? Villains are not born, they are made. You might have heard that quote before. If not, then I'm going to tell you what it means in my own words. Okay, so we're all born sinners, right? Okay, yes, we all sin, we all make mistakes, but we're not bad people. We just make bad choices, and then villains are made. What caused? What was the root that made that person, creature, or what made that character drive towards that path of villainy and darkness? That void. What is that void that is holding them? That is cementing their heart into stone? It doesn't always have to be something bad happen. Maybe it was implanted in them. What I mean by that, maybe they learned it. They just seen it. They probably looked up to someone, like a parent or like a parent figure or someone they admire from a television show or their inspiration, their role model. And they're like, okay, I think that's the right thing to do. I think I should do that too. So this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do. And that happens. But did you know that one of your main protagonists or someone on the protagonist side can transform someone to become the villain? That's what I did for my book, Mermaid Mysteries, right here. Because the villain is so relatable. The villain is human, like has human traits that, why did this person turn to the bad side then? Or what drove this person to madness? And every time I think of a villain, I think about what had happened. What happened that drove them towards that side? I'll give another example. That's not one of these books. Okay, so I wrote a short story a few months ago. I was writing in the point of view of a young boy, and he is trying to control his supernatural powers. However, it's quite challenging because there are different people against him. You got the King of Eternity that wants to kill him, okay? Second, you got the pig keeper who's in charge of all who are in captive. That includes the main character. Sorry I'm rapping, but bear with me. And then you have all these other people who believe that this little boy is so dangerous and a harm to the society that they see him as the villain. Okay, so he was made the villain. He wasn't born the villain. He might have had some powers that were quite questionable and controversial. However, it was where he was at, his surroundings, that made him portray the villain. This little boy didn't want to do bad things. Just bad things just happened. Did he just make some bad choices? Yes. Don't we all make bad choices? Yes. But it's what you carry that drives you, that gets you there. So, pretty much what this little boy did, this is from my short story, by the way, he was dangerous. He was so dangerous. People accused him of different things. And then when he did went on the dark side, he was to blame because he was the only survivor. And being the only survivor gets you loads of consequences. And that's exactly what the boy got. He didn't necessarily get what he deserved, but he did get something that was intended for pretty much everyone involved. He just got the worst of it. And there are definitely times that he wants to be good, but everyone sees him as bad. So it comes from that need versus want. So with this character, he wants to be good. He wants to be good. He wants to be loved. Well, he needs to be loved too. But what he really needs is someone who can show that acceptance for who he is, despite like having these dangerous supernatural powers. To see him for who he is, and that he is human too, that he has feelings. And if as people didn't have feelings, we would be robots, literal robots, just not caring about the world. We would be a whole world mess. And if I didn't care about doing this, I could have just been like, yeah, this is about villains, trying to figure out the secret. Yeah, what's the secret? I'm not too sure. I am trying to elaborate to you how I feel about villains. I believe villains should stand out like everyone else. Not just because of the sake of evil, because they have a motive. They have a purpose. They have something that is like grounded in their mind, in their heart, in their soul. That goal that they have in mind, they have to do it. They have to go through. They have to accomplish it in order for whatever they desire to happen. Because you want to make your villain relatable, but you don't want to like them. Because technically, whenever we're reading about this villain, we're not supposed to like them. And if we give them likable traits or make them relatable, like that's not gonna work. Well, it can work. It can work. Like I said, use human traits, make them be human, because they have human emotions, they have motives, they have everything that a human being has. Give them those traits, give them those qualities, show their intelligence, show their strengths, their weaknesses. Just don't tell everything. And I'm going to talk about that next. Let's say we're in the perspective of the villain. Okay, so we're trying to understand this villain, why they're doing the thing that's not possibly the right thing to do. and we're supposed to not like them, well, it's very easy to do it wrong by just spilling out everything about their plans and do this, do that, and making it expected. With your villains or the villains in general, you want to make their schemes unpredictable. You want to be like a game of chess, except don't explicitly show the villain's moves, because the protagonist will quickly catch up and easily beat them. And it's funny because, okay, if the protagonist and antagonist were playing chess and the villain is making their moves and the protagonist is making moves too, and cutting off their assets so easily but not figuring out what the villain is really doing, kind of making your protagonist the idiot. You don't want to do that. And future video definitely about protagonists and how to make them an actual protagonist and human, and not a robotic human, a robotic character that is a protagonist because something happened and that must face this big villain and defeat that villain in order to save the day. That's a future video. But with the villain, you want to show their tactics. Yes, give us some of the plans, but make it vague. Make it vague. When it comes to Mermaid Mysteries, for example, yes, my debut book that is on pre-order right now, ebook edition. When it comes to the villain, I barely touch on the plans, really, what the villain has in store. Because if I did, then it would have been very easy. But what I did instead, I made it vague on purpose, because I wanted to hint at the certain things that's making the villain be the villain, but not give away everything that we the readers know, but the characters are idiots because they're going too slow. So I would say think about your villains. Think about the motives they are pursuing, the purpose that they are seeking to accomplish. And if you can do that, then you right there have unlocked the secret of writing a villain that is not evil just for the sake of evil.